What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We have another exciting interview. Once again, I'm going to try to be able to see if I can get this right. But every y'all, and has a mind of its own. But hey, welcome into another exciting interview. And yet we're here live at the StreamYard Studios. In case you guys want to get a chance to check out StreamYard Studios, make sure you guys go on to StreamYard.com and check out all the plans that they have. They have a free version for you guys to check it out, and you guys can get a chance to check out whether it's business things, whatever it is. I encourage you guys to go check it out. Also, real quick, we do have our very special guest, Charis Forgot, is going to be joining us here very, very shortly. But I'll also want to go ahead and send a shout out to RMGFX1. They have incredible gear. They have amazing stuff. They have some Fighting Now gear. So I encourage you guys to go check it out, rmgfx1.com. Use code Fighting Now to save 10% off your entire purchase. Also, send a big shout out to the Jay and Trey podcast live. You guys go ahead and check that out on TNT Sports Talk. I know they're going to be having a very busy schedule. I'll be joining them tomorrow, so it's going to be a very awesome one. Have a very special guest for you guys. Also, can't stress enough, go ahead and send some shout-outs to Mom's Basement MMA. You guys go check that out. Mom's Basement _ MMA. You guys check that out on Instagram. Liz with a Z podcast. I encourage you guys to go check that out, as well as Aaron Media Productions. You guys check out all three of these podcasts on all the podcast platforms where it may be. Now, let's go ahead and bring in our guest. Let's go ahead and say some hey to everyone. We have Justin. We have Trey. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And yes, I do look well dressed. All right, now that my bad, but now we have our very special guest. Let's go ahead and welcome in Miss Charis Forgot. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. You've been very busy as of late, haven't you?
Yeah. It's Charis, by the way. But
sorry. I told you I was going to butcher it up. Butcher it up.
Yeah, it happened quite a bit, but.
Well, I know you've been busy a lot. I mean, you just got done with an event, like 2 events for 2 super fights a couple of weeks ago. I mean, you've been very busy lately, haven't you?
Yep.
I feel you. Well, you know what? We want to go ahead and start things off. First of all, I want to say I appreciate you for taking your time out of your day to get a chance to join me. I want everyone to get a chance to know how incredible you are, especially with all these super fights that you've done, especially since you're currently a blue belt. So, you know, I think we want to start this off is, you know, what inspired you to get involved with all this?
So initially, I started wrestling in middle school. I pretty much just always liked the sport, liked the contact sports, and wanted to do something. But since I was in middle school, I couldn't drive anywhere. So I figured the closest thing to jiu-jitsu or anything like that was wrestling. So did that throughout high school. And then once I got done with high school, I transitioned into jiu-jitsu pretty much to stay active and continue competing, because that was the part of wrestling that I really enjoyed the most.
Yeah.
So,
well, hey, I mean, you definitely showed, you know, how much wrestling you have learned, especially when it comes to jiu-jitsu. And, you know, you've come a long way to be able to get a chance to get yourself a blue belt. I mean, take us through that journey to get to where you are today.
Yeah, so I've been training jiu-jitsu for about 4.5 years now. I just got my 4th stripe on my blue belt last week. Pretty much since COVID and everything started, it was hard to find competitions locally. Being from Illinois, everything was shut down completely. So as a blue belt, I had to start traveling to compete more and finding any competitions. So I think my first super fight was in Texas for Submission Hunter Pro. And from there, I just started applying to more and more super fights and traveling.
You know, I mean, you talked about that. You talked about, you know, traveling. I mean, did you always like to get a chance to just travel anywhere and just to help you to be able to upgrade your skills, especially as a wrestler and as someone who's getting involved with jiu-jitsu? I mean, is it very tough to say the least?
It is, but I mean, it's really fun. I've enjoyed all the traveling so far, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon, unless, you know, I become poor. But it can get pricey to do all this traveling, but it's been so much fun.
I mean, hey, how does it feel to get a chance to come down to Texas? I mean, especially as huge and crazy as it was. I mean, take us through that mindset just to be able to go down to Texas and say, hey, here I am. Where's my competition at?
Yeah, so I actually didn't have an opponent for that super fight until about 1 or 2 weeks before the event. They couldn't find me one, and then finally got one short notice. But I felt prepared and I was ready. So I kept telling myself I'm not traveling across the country to go home without a medal. So
Yeah.
you know, kept having that mindset, and I ended up coming out with the win. So
There you go. Hey, at least you got to get yourself a medal, to say the least.
yeah.
I mean, and speaking of medals, I mean, and by the way, shout out to Combat Sports Coverage because a couple weeks ago you got a chance to be a part of an event. I mean, take us through the Combat Sports event before we get to what else you done on the same day.
Yeah, so that one was my first time competing with combat sports coverage. It was a lot of fun. My opponent was really tough. We had some good scrambles throughout the match. Fortunately, it went to a draw. Neither of us were able to secure the submission, but it was a lot of fun. And I look at each match as a learning experience. So, I just kind of identified what I need to work on more and what to control to better, secure more positions to get the submission.
And not only that, but like I talked about it, you got a chance to be able to go down to submission grappling series on the same day, and you got a chance to pick up a victory. I'm assuming, correct?
I actually didn't get to compete on that card after all. I had to
Okay.
pull out due to injury, but
Oh, my apologies. My apologies. Because when I saw it was like on the same day, I was like, maybe she might have competed for both of them, but I didn't know
yeah,
the case.
that was the
I mean, go ahead. All right. Well, you know what? We've seen how much you've overcome, especially with your training and how much you've been able to do. I mean, what would you say has been the hardest part in your journey since you started?
probably just kind of believing in myself, honestly. Like, I grew up in a super small town and never really had many friends, so I was just kind of always alone. So it was just more getting into the mindset of like I can actually do this, and I'm making a name for myself. So
Yeah.
um, I've been working with Natty Boss lately. She's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and she's really big on mindsets, and just she's been coaching me through it, and it's been really helpful.
I would say, have you always been dealing with self doubt, and have you always struggled on that mentality for each training or each super fight that you do?
Um, yes and no. Like, I would have my ups and downs, just like anyone else, but I feel like just recently I've shifted my mindset drastically to really, believe in myself and start pushing myself beyond my limits.
And I think we're definitely seeing how much you have overcome and how much you have learned. After each fight, you're doing a tremendous job, and I cannot wait to see what happens for you next, to say the least. You know, and I noticed something about you that I had to ask you because you pretty much told me that you're a metalhead.
Yes.
And so do you have any favorite bands? Do you have a favorite singer? I mean, as a metalhead, who all do you listen to?
I listen to a variety of music. My number one favorite band isn't too metal. It's Sleeping with Sirens, but
Okay.
they've always been my favorite band. I even have a tattoo of them. But I also listen to Black Dahlia Murder, Counterparts, Architects.
I definitely respect that. Me, I've always been like a metalhead. I've always been a rock fan. Like my bands would be like I Prevail to Pearl Jam to Slipknot, Metallica to even Skillet. I mean, that's how much I really dig into it, especially like the Red Hot Chili Pepper style as well.
Mhm.
But I definitely do admire that, to say the least. and we all have something that can keep us going, especially through the rough days, the bad days, or even the good days. What inspires you to keep going like you are right now?
Um, there's quite a bit right now that inspires me. Just looking back on my journey and seeing how far I've come so far has really just inspired me to keep going. I also teach um, once a week, sometimes more, depending on my schedule and upcoming tournaments and such. But teaching has really helped inspire me too. And just watching the students grow from techniques that I've shown them too has really been awesome.
You know, and yeah, you talked about teaching. I mean, have you had like maybe like what maybe a one little struggle moment when it comes to teaching?
Yeah. Um, Honestly, it's been more with kids. I feel like they're more difficult and, crazy. So, but,
Uh,
it's been a challenge, but it's also really fun and rewarding. So I can't complain.
at least you get a chance to teach these kids something, especially with stuff that they may or may not know before, and it can help them out in the long run. Um, and I do admire that. I definitely do admire that to say the least, because you're trying to train for yourself these tournaments while you're also teaching kids. And another question I have to ask you, this was something I thought about, and as you're teaching, what is the one thing that you want this younger generation to learn, especially when it comes to jujitsu?
I just really want them to learn, like, for them to believe in themselves and be able to defend themselves if, there's a lot of shit going on in the world. And, being able to protect yourself is very important. And developing a good mindset and,
No,
being healthy. It's just great overall for kids to be in the sport.
no, no. And as you talked about it, you started with the wrestling. Do you think that this is something that all the younger generation should do, and especially if they have like depression, anxiety? I mean, do you think this would be a great fit for them?
For sure. That's something that I personally struggle with as well. So I think that it's important for the younger generation to at least give it a try. Even if they don't like it, like at least they can say that they tried it. Um, and that part is the hardest, I think, to actually get your foot in the door and, step on the mats for the first time. So
I mean, whenever you first step on the mat, did you ever felt that adrenaline going through your mind, especially the fact that, hey, I'm not dealing with depression. I'm into a brand new environment. I mean, did you ever get those nerves just a little bit?
um, I did, but I mean, it was quickly overcome. I think like stepping on the mats made me feel like a whole different person, almost like a superhero, because you have if you're wearing nogi or something like that, you're dressed silly and it's really fun. So, you just feel like a superhero and it's super fun.
That's definitely doing incredible to say the least. You know, while you're doing this, and we pretty much talked about your battle with depression, anxiety, whatever it may be. How much do you think this has helped you, especially on the long run, since you go through a lot of mental battles? I mean, I know that there's got to be one too many things that go through your mind, to say the least.
Yeah, I feel like jujitsu has helped me overcome quite a bit. And it's like one of the things in my life that I was able to kind of keep track of and like keep consistent. Like even if other things fell apart or changed, like I always had jujitsu. So I feel like it definitely helped me and become a better person and just overall happier.
I can definitely tell because I don't know if people have got a chance to follow you on Instagram, but it's like once when you start training, once when you start going out to those matches, you can tell. I can tell how happy you are and how much it makes you feel as a person, because you're not stuck in this little wall, because you're out there having fun, doing what's best for you.
Hmm.
And I can honestly say I definitely do admire that, to say the least. And on Super Fight Day, there's got to be one too many things that goes through our mind. And the one thing I have to ask is, what goes through your mind on Super Fight Day? On when it comes to like any type of tournaments whatsoever.
I usually just, try to get into that competition mindset. Since I compete quite frequently, I don't get like the nerve kind of feelings anymore. With wrestling, we competed like every other day pretty much. So it's just like, oh, one of these again. But, um, I always think like just go out there, have fun, try your best.
Mhm.
There's certain things that, I may want to try. Like I'll have different goals that I set for myself each tournament or super fight. And then I'll keep those in mind. But, you know, also keep in mind that, if other opportunities present themselves, just don't try chasing after that one thing to get, the goal. Because in the end, it may cost you the match. So,
I can definitely tell, to say the least. Once when you start getting out there, whatever you think about, it's all gone. Competition day, time to get yourself serious.
mm,
And as this younger generation looks up to you, and they may have not started it yet, but yet they thought about it. What is the one thing that you want to tell the younger generation, especially when it comes to jiu-jitsu, how much it can help them?
I would just for sure encourage them to give it a try because like it'll help them with so much. Like they'll feel more empowered. They'll, have more self confidence. They'll be in better shape. It's just like their mindset will be better. It's just overall such a good sport, and I think that you know everyone should give it a shot.
I believe everyone should give it a shot because excuse me, no matter what it is, whether if it's trying to get involved with like the MMA stuff, or whether if it's wrestling, jiu-jitsu. I mean, you feel. I mean, I can also tell you that whenever you start training, you with your team is like one big family. Would you say, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think if you are someone who is wanting to get involved with this, I mean, if it's out of your comfort zone, step out of your comfort zone. Go
Mhm.
out there and go have a great time, because, like she just said, I mean, your team can be your family. But if you don't like that family, there's always plenty of different teams that you can be able to join. Any different types of training camps you can be a part of.
Right.
And it's always definitely a huge honor to get a chance to have someone with who I can say has the biggest heart when it comes to jiu-jitsu, when it comes to how much you have overcome. And if there was one thing you want people to see, to describe about you throughout this entire journey, what would that be?
Um, I mean, there's a lot that I still feel like I need to kind of show in the world of jujitsu. Like I'm still only a blue belt, so I have a lot to show right now. A lot of more technique to learn and more skills to develop. So as of right now, I'm just like trying to stay active in competitions and get noticed that way and show how determined I am on the mats.
I think everyone will definitely see that, especially when it comes to like the long runs, especially with how much publicity you're starting to get through combat sports coverage, through any of the tournaments that you could say. And I will tell you this: you're doing incredible things, and we've not got to just talk much until the interview today. But if there's one thing I can definitely tell you, is that you're going to do incredible things. I believe in that, and I can see so much in you, especially after watching your fight about a couple of weeks ago. You did a tremendous job, and I think the world is going to see exactly who you are.
Thank you.
You know what? One thing I have to be able to ask, that there's so many different accomplishments that we want to achieve. It could be being number one in each tournament, winning as much gold medals as you possibly can. What would those achievements be that you want to be able to accomplish?
So for me, I was kind of drilled to just win, win, win throughout wrestling. So um, the first time I did a jujitsu match, my goal was to simply have fun and,
Hmm.
you know, try jujitsu. Um, and since then, I've just been going out there, having fun. My number one goal is, is to just have fun, make sure that I learn something. And if I don't, then I feel like the match was pointless. So I feel like, as long as I learn something and I have fun, that's my main priority.
I can definitely tell you that you're definitely having a lot of fun, to say the least. And you know what? I think people will see that. I think people will admire that. But we have our final two questions. And this is something I really wanted to get a chance to ask you. I didn't really send this to you because I would rather wait for this moment to happen. But a lot of people can handle failure differently in ways that we don't know what to do or how to think or anything. How do you handle failure? How do you handle like situations to where, if it doesn't happen, then hey, you just move on to the next day. How do you be able to handle some sort of negative mindset?
Um, it all comes down to just training your brain and keeping those positive thoughts going. Um, Before, I used to be really hard on myself when I would lose a match. And I would just really beat myself up. But I feel like over the years, I would take each of those losses as a learning experience and not beat myself up, but look at the positives and how I can improve for next time.
I want you to look back on something because, and I admire how much you have overcome. I admire how much you've gone through a lot of different obstacles to get where you are today. Do you ever just look back and think, the person that you was before, on how, you pretty much gave yourself a hard time when it comes to losing, when it comes to not doing the right thing in super fights? How much can you say you have overcome to where you are today?
A lot for sure. I, I don't nearly beat myself up at all now
Hmm.
if the match doesn't go my way, but I immediately watch it and look at the angles like what I could have improved on. But then instead of just saying like, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, I'll go to the gym and start fixing it right away because, just saying I should have, I could have is not going to do anything until you actually, start making those adjustments yourself. So
Well, hey, I definitely do admire that because if people have not got a chance to follow you, then here, this is a great chance to get a chance to follow such an incredible person. Here is your Instagram, and do you have any else other social media platforms that you want people to follow you on?
no, I'm mainly just active on Instagram.
I definitely do respect that. Well, hey, before we get a chance to hop off here, I do want to ask you, do you have any final comments you want to be able to say before we hop off the air?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, this is like I'm such a quiet person, so to be able to do this interview is like stepping out of my comfort zone and, doing new things. So it's been exciting that, I've been stepping out of my comfort zone a little bit more and
There you go. There you go. And yet, I can honestly say I feel honored the fact that, out of all of interviews, you got a chance to join here and you step out of your comfort zone. You did such a tremendous job. And, I think, we're not worthy right now. We're not worthy. But you know what? There's something I really want to tell you is that you're doing so incredible, and I am proud to get a chance to have you a part of this platform known as the Fighting Now. You're doing tremendous things, and I think the best just is yet to come for you. And all these super fights that you've been a part of, every single thing that you do, and I feel like that it's going to keep getting better from here. I mean, the world's going to see how incredible you are when it comes to what you're doing today.
thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
One thing I can't stress enough: just don't let anything get to you. Just don't let any negative mindset bring you down. Just keep on, shining your light to others like you are right now, to say the least.
Thank you.
Not a problem. But hey, if you guys want to get a chance to follow her, I encourage you guys to check out her Instagram page at Charis. Forgot. I'm trying not to butcher it again, but either way. But I appreciate you so much for joining me. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will definitely send you the link once when I get done here. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Hey, I'll definitely talk to you then.
Thanks. All
No
right.
problem. Later.
Bye.
Later. All right, that was the one and only Miss Charis Forgot, who did so incredible to say the least. I feel so proud. The fact that she stepped out of her comfort zone, and it's definitely incredible to say the least. And guys, these interviews are just going to keep continuing getting bigger and better on. Once again, before we hop off the air, shout out to RMGFX1. Make sure to head on over to RMGFX1.com. Use promo code Fighting Out to save 10% off your purchase. And of course, don't forget to check out the Jay and Trey podcast on Wednesday, tomorrow at 10 a.m. on TNC Sports Talk on YouTube. And of course, real quick, before I forget, I do want to go ahead and chance to shout out to these three podcasts, Moms_Basement MMA. You guys go ahead and check them out on Instagram. Liz with a Z podcast, and certainly last but not least, Air Media Productions. I am Jake, and yet we have so much more coming your way. I encourage you guys to check us out on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram at The Fighting Now, because later on today we have Miss Emily Keck that's going to be joining us here at 7 o'clock, and I have not one, not two, three interviews. One that's going to be on the J&H podcast tomorrow, and the other two is going to be on here. I know we have Christine Grifford that's going to be joining me at 1 o'clock, and Lisa Sun is going to be joining me at 3 o'clock. You guys can check out all these interviews. Head on over to the Jay and Trey podcast, to TNC Sports Talk on YouTube, and head on over to here tomorrow. It's going to be a huge day, but we'll see you guys later on tonight as we get a chance to have the one, the only Emily Keck that's going to be joining me. But until then, I am Jake saying so long, and we'll see you later on.